Welcome to another episode of A Talk of Opportunity. With me, as usual, Andrew.
That's me.
And today we're talking about the most
Who are
crucial
you?
of what?
Who are you?
Oh yeah.
Oh
That's
wait,
right.
you already introduced yourself.
No, I did I? Well, I'm Jose. I hope I'm Jose.
Wait, did you introduce yourself?
Existential crisis 6. Who am I?
Who am I? There's gonna be a moment after the podcast where you're just like kind of staring out like a window, just like, who actually am I?
Yeah. Well, yes, we're back, and this is for those of you new to the show. This is a podcast about board games, tabletops, video games, and all things gaming. I guess mainly tabletop, really, and by that I mean RPG, and by RPGs I mean Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot we want to discuss about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I've been like, when can we talk about Starfinder?
There's been like a couple board games that we wanted to talk about, but every time it's just like, well, but right now, like at D&D, like we can talk about this a lot. We're playing right now. We're playing Pandemic Legacy Session 0 or Season 0. Once we're done with that, I want to talk about it when.
What is Season 0? Is that something where it's like, oh no, the Black Death of like 1472
No.
or something?
It's based in the 60s. It's like espionage and like the Cold War.
Oh,
and stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
That'd actually be really cool to make a board game based on the Black Death. Like,
Yeah.
be sure to avoid the miasma.
Yeah. Well, it's also like instead of like how you put in Pandemic, usually you put like 3 cubes and then it spreads. With
Right.
the 1883, you put 1 cube and it spreads.
Yeah.
Game over. Oh, we lost the 1 viewer we had. All right.
Be sure to not bathe because the demons that inhabit the disease do not like the smell of body odor.
Yeah. Right. All right. But yes. Well, we lost track real quick. This is not gonna be a short episode.
Yes, I will. It's gonna have to be.
All right. Well,
we're on the clock here, people.
we're talking about large scale combat and how to make it accessible and easy to follow.
Or just doable, really.
Yeah, true. But with that, let's play the music and get this party started. Boop.
So after that brutal assault by the orc warrior, the initiative now goes to you. Jose, what do you do?
I'm gonna cast. Alright, Andrew.
Yeah, that's
Large
me.
scale
That's
combat.
me. That's my name.
More than 10 players on the board.
Okay,
Is that
so-
what categorizes large scale combat, or is that like?
Yeah, no. Large scale combat is when you have just large enemies.
And we don't mean giants. We just mean like fat gnomes and
Yeah, big guys.
goblin goblins.
Bigger boys.
Oh, look at that, Kristen liked the stream. Thank you, Kristen.
Oh,
What a supportive girlfriend.
It's because we're talking about fat boys.
Yeah, fat boys.
All right, so we're just gonna address the elephant in the room. We're not drinking this episode 'cause it's like 10 in the morning. I'm like, I'm not doing day drinking. So
Are you drinking anything fun? Or
No, I'm just having Guatemala blend Javalier coffee.
Ooh.
Chevalier.
Well, that sounds fancy.
It's not. You can get it from anywhere.
Oh.
I just personally think it's better and more affordable than Starbucks coffee.
Mhm.
So
Do you like Starbucks coffee?
it's all right for what it is. I mean, the only thing that Starbucks really has going for it is that you can get it anywhere, but if you're like a dedicated coffee consumer like myself, for the amount you're paying, you can get a better bag of coffee, like way better. You just have to put in the legwork to find it. That's the problem.
Do you have like or do you care like a website with like very like niche type of coffee beans?
Yeah, there is Misto Box. That's one that I subscribe to, where they will ask you a series of questions like, hey, what do you like in your coffee?
Yeah.
Do you drink it black? Do you drink it cold? Like, do you like light roast, medium roast, blah, blah, blah? What kind of notes are you going for?
Ooh.
And then they will send you a random box or a random bag of coffee, depending on the frequency that you want. I just have it set up to once a month because that's fine by me. But they'll send you a random bag of coffee that's just like, hey, this came from, somewhat like Newark or something like that. And so I've had like probably 15 different like coffees from that place, and it's all different. And some of those coffees are so strong you can smell the coffee through the box.
Jeez.
Yeah. So and it's always like a bit of an experience with us. Like, ooh, the coffee came in. So like I cut the bag and was like, and then like Teresa like gets a big coffee. And I'm like, ooh,
That's gonna be a good one.
yeah, and it's neat because we get to experiment like. Or I get to experiment, like, is this good as a cold brew? Is this good as, like, a drip? Is this good, like, over, like,
so
cone?
each different ones you try, I mean, for each one you get, you try different types of brewing?
Yeah, because I have 4 different ways to brew coffee. Nice. I have the cold brew, the French press, the pour over, and then just, like, a regular drip, like, Americano coffee. And some are, like, great as a French press. Some are a little too oily. And some are, like, just... don't use it for cold brew because it's just like because there was one I had. It was a dark roast. Oh god, if I can remember the name of it. Anyways, it was a dark roast, and I had it as a cold brew, and it gave me straight whiskey face. Like,
I mean,
well, and let me tell you, it takes a lot to give me whiskey face through coffee. You know exactly what I'm talking about, like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Dang, it must be a pretty strong coffee. I'm not a big coffee guy. You know that.
Yeah,
but I think it's fascinating how many different type of ways you can make coffee.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So
I like my things simple, like tea.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's one of those things where like the making of coffee gets me as excited as well as drinking it. Where it's like I like to have fun.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
I like the process of making the French press, like grinding the beans, pouring it over there, mixing it up, and then smashing it down with a little plunger.
My coffee. Well, today I'm drinking an Earl Grey Bravo, which is one of my favorite teas. Well, Earl Grey in general is one of my favorite kinds of tea. But this one is a traditional blend of tangy Ceylon flavor with bergamot in parentheses, a citrus fruit, zesty, citrus sweet, perfect with milk. I'm not drinking it with milk though.
No.
Brewed for 2 to 3 minutes, 212 Fahrenheit.
The whole hot tea with milk thing kind of weirds me out. I tried it.
It's an English thing. I tried it too. Not my thing. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah. now cold tea with milk, like Thai tea, I'm all over that.
Yes, Thai tea is
hot
perfect.
Tea with milk?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's mostly one of those things that you grow up with.
Fun fact, you said it's a British thing. Did you know that the British are so, like, integrated with tea that they actually have tea makers in the tanks in their military?
Oh, yeah. You told me that a long time ago.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
in the middle of war.
Yeah.
Ding 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 ding.
Up. It's 4 o'clock, gentlemen.
The tank is like rattling left and right, and they're pouring their tea inside of it. The Russians are just like, why did they stop shooting?
But the tea kettle has perfect rotoscope, so it never spills.
The crew is just being banged left and right.
Yeah, or sorry, gyroscope.
Gyroscope, yeah,
rotoscope.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, it has perfect gyroscope. Like, all the budget went into keeping the tea.
And it's at a perfect temperature every time.
It's stainless steel sheet metal otherwise, but everything else is like, we gotta preserve the tea.
A bullet goes through the armor of the tank and it bounces off the kettle.
It bounces off the kettle. There's some madman out there dressed in kettles.
Don't ever get me, Captain.
Got a kettle on his head and just like one eye hole.
That sounds
crazy
to me.
Boston.
Shit, here we go, Andrew.
We're
done talking about our beverages.
He's technically a hero, but he's also a heretic. What do we do with him?
He saved a lot. He saved a lot of us, Captain.
Like the British worship tea over there. How dare you defy the sanctity of the kettle?
Wow, we lost all of our viewers because of that.
Oh, these Anglophobes.
Yeah. All right, Andrew.
Don't we have viewers in England for some reason?
Yes, we do. In Germany.
Oh,
too.
no.
Cancel subscription. Cancel.
I'm gonna write a test letter. I am.
We receive it in the 3 to 4 weeks. He's like, how do they know where we live?
It's like rolled up parchment with a wax seal.
Yeah. Oh, Heather, I hope this is a change of pace. We didn't talk about beer for 30 minutes. We talked about tea.
Oh, we just talked about tea for 30 minutes.
All right, Andrew. Talk to me.
Either way, she's still like scrubbing through the audio. Just all right. Well, 15 seconds. 15. Okay, nope. 15 seconds.
He's still talking about it. What the hell? All right, Andrew.
They'll just talk about anything. There's a bunch of morons.
Why am I friends with them?
This is like the Seinfeld of podcasts.
Yeah.
It's really about nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, but it's true. All right, Andrew. I'm gonna ask the question again.
That's a good song. Anyways,
I'm gonna ask the question again. Large scale combat.
Okay. Large scale combat. So when I say large scale combat, what do you think about? And don't say that like the party of adventurers like interrupt like a giant orgy or something like that.
No. I mean, large scale combat for me is anything that has. Honestly, I will go as slow as more than you have a lot of the same enemies, and like sometimes in the books they have names, so the token has name, but sometimes they don't. So you have like a list of like Goblin 1 through 30, and they all just say Goblin. There's not even a number next.
Yeah. And there's been a good couple of times in Curse of Strahd alone where someone's like, "Oh, hey, there's an enemy down there." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to roll initiative for them. They die." I just like drop dead.
Yeah, because then sometimes it could be just like, I don't know, it could be, I keep saying goblins, but it could be a goblin, but then if you're gonna fight a goblin, it could take some time, even though it's just a goblin.
Yeah. No, I mean, the reason why you keep using goblins because I think goblins the perfect like trash mob.
Yeah.
Where it's like level 1 through 3, they might be a bit of a challenge, but after that, it's just just throw them in the meat grinder.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So okay. So I think. We had two different interpretations of what large scale combat is. That's fine. We could talk about that. So your interpretation of large scale combat is just a lot of people, where it's just, hey, you're good, you're cool, jump on into this fight. So like I guess like a bit like a tavern brawl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
You know, like talking about like what the scenario we said last episode where the adventurer tips the guy 5 gold and the whole bar just like. And then just like a random bar stool comes out of nowhere. So then in that case, let's say you have 4 to 5 adventurers, but then you have for whatever reason, let's just say the whole tavern just starts fighting. Maybe it's after like a soccer game or something. I don't know.
It's a damn Englishman, man.
Yeah, so you can have anywhere between like 10 to 30 commoners, and do you really want to roll initiative for all of those people?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think one of the ways you can probably simplify that is just roll initiative for one person. That person is in terms of enemies, you have your parties roll separate initiative, but then you have one enemy roll their own initiative. And that's just representative of like the mob. Yeah. So it'll be and you also have to think it's not going to be everybody fighting the adventurers. It's going to be, you know, maybe one of the commoners is fighting another commoner because he kind of knows this guy's been doing stuff with his wife. He's like, hey, you know what? Now's the chance.
Now's the chance. Just get 1 or 2 in there. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, or it's just something that's like one of the commoners like took a swing at the adventurer, missed, hit another guy in the back of the head. Now that guy wheels around and starts beating him up. So I mean, you could probably have like, okay, there's 30 commoners in this bar. How many of these are actually fighting the adventurers? And then it's when you roll like, I don't know, just real quick, like a D12 plus 5, whatever. Because commoners are nothing. Commoners have like 2 HP. You can kill them by sneezing on them.
Yeah, especially if commoners around.
Yeah. So then that would be a really good way to kind of have like a large fight in a small room And if you feel like, oh, hey, these guys are kind of mowing through these commoners really quickly, like they probably should be. Then
If they're struggling with commoners, there's bigger issues right now than large scale combat.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of settings are like the militia is like 500 commoners because it's probably going to take that many just to stop one.
I like to imagine that it would be great if, like, in the middle of a fight, a commoner actually does some damage to one of the adventurers, and it just surprises everybody. They're just like, "Wait, what? They can hurt us?"
Yeah.
Dead.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
And then that commoner becomes a level 1 adventurer now.
Yeah, right then and there, just like a beam of like, bah! And now he has like starting equipment. So I mean, that's probably a really good way to kind of have large scale combat in a smaller room. But then what if we like expand the area a bit, and to where it's not the bar room. Let's say it's the whole town. Okay, so now you have an army going through the town, and I'm not saying like a fort or a fortification or something like that, but just like, did you leave me something? Oh, never mind. I was like, are you really like messaging me as we're talking?
No. I was sharing it with the group.
Okay. It's like, what did I say? Did I say something offensive? Okay, so what if now if it's something that's like, let's say the town is under attack.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say there's the army of hobgoblins coming through the town, and it's not they don't have like any military fortifications or anything like that. So there's really no ballistas to arm themselves with. Well, in that case, what you could probably do is, in terms of that large scale combat, and let's say your objective is to get from point A to just point B. Like, you start out in the tavern naturally, and you just want to get out of the city. Well, then at that point, you could probably treat that whole area as like a random encounter zone. And then that's when you can start, like, you come up with, or hopefully the adventure provides a random encounter table. And I'm pretty sure did not Avernus, did Elturel have something like this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where it's like stuff is going down, and so as the adventurers are traveling, and you want to keep an idea, and this is really good in Roll20. Okay, they're gonna go a mile this way or what have you. How much time is that going to take?
Yeah, and are they on the main road, or are they hiding through the buildings, or then, like, different encounters can happen there. Because on the main road you can have, I don't know, just a basic brawl, but then in the in the alleyways you can have like some bandits come in and, like, stab, ambush.
Yeah, yeah, or you can have like a scenario where someone's being attacked by a bandit, and then you can come in and kind of save the day. And like, there's a really lot of interesting things you can do with a scenario like that. But you really have to think about what is the location and where they're going and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of context you need to really hone in on, and just sort of learn to improvise and roll with it. So then when you're keeping track of how long you're gonna be taking, and most random encounter tables say roll once per hour, but I would say, because it's under attack, I say roll once per every 20 minutes of travel.
Honestly, if you're in a city, I wouldn't even do I would even do by distance.
Yeah. No,
or key points. Like, if you're going like to the main bazaar area, and then they have to make a left to a bridge, so I do one for the bazaar area, one when they get to the bridge, and then, you know what I mean? So, because
okay, like segment off the map and be like, every time they enter this, let's roll for a random encounter.
Or just ask the player, like, how are you gonna get there? And then they're like, oh, we're gonna go here, then we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do that. Then you roll to see if they do an encounter in each one of those.
Mm-hmm. And then so then in this scenario, the army that's attacking the city kind of just acts as a backdrop to what's going on. So it's not like you're actually fighting the entire army. You're just fighting like dregs,
big chunks,
underlings and stuff like that. Like or maybe like a couple lieutenants here and there, but you're not fighting the army as a whole.
Right.
So then that's another way to kind of scale up, quote unquote, large scale combat. But what if we want to fight the army? Like, what if we're in a fort and we have battlements and we have ballistas and we have anti-siege weaponry and stuff like that, and there's an army at our doors? Well, how do we do that? Unfortunately, the DMG doesn't really give us a lot in terms of fortifications. On page 127, it shows how much it costs to uphold a stronghold or a business or anything like that. And on page 128, it just shows us the construction time and building cost of that.
Huh.
And outside of that, and stats for like stone and wood doors and stuff, that's about it. It doesn't tell us how much it costs to install weapons like catapults or anything like that. It doesn't tell us how much it costs.
Is it just like a big blanket cost?
Yeah,
it just assumes that you just have all that siege equipment and protection.
Okay, so it says outpost or fort. It costs 15,000 gold and it takes 100 days to build. That's it. There's nothing else outside of that. And then on the previous page, to maintain it, let's see if I can find it here. To maintain it, it is where did it go? It is 25 gold per day. That's it. And there's really nothing outside of that, unfortunately. So you're like, okay, well, what if I want to have a big, like, maybe not a whole campaign of this, but what if there's like a big finale? Like my adventurers went out and they got the staff of power from yada yada, and now the Lich's army is marching on our doorstep to reclaim that staff, you know. So how do I play out the scenario? Because you can either have the siege be a backdrop for whatever's going to happen, which I feel is kind of anticlimactic and kind of robs like a lot of the,
I can see that, yeah,
like a lot of the like cinema-ness of it. Or B, you could roll initiative for every single one of them. and
I say B.
And spend the next 3.5 hours just going through a turn.
You mean three sessions?
Yeah.
To go through a round?
Oh, God. Okay, so... all right, so Hobgoblin.
Okay, so last time we left off, freaking Lich 40 already went. Okay, so this guy, and the map is just tokens everywhere.
Yeah, it's Hobgoblin 127 missed. No,
that one went, dude. No, it's 2028 is the next one that's coming up.
I know.
No, hold on. But that one's not a regular hub. Damn it.
There's like a spreadsheet for the initiative count. All right, so how do we have a fort like defend against itself against an incoming army? And I think the answer lies in the book Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
I thought you were going to say Ghosts of Tsushima. I was like,
Ghosts of Tsushima.
Whoa! Really took a left turn there.
Don't even go to the fort. Just cut the throats of all. I mean, you could. You actually could. If you want to be like, hey, we don't have to fight this fight.
Yeah.
Let's just send the rogue in. Let's send the rogue and the bard in.
Yeah.
And if they die, that's fine, because that's 2 lives against the lives of 5,000. That would actually be really cool.
The camera pans to the left, and the rogue and the bard are just sitting there next to everybody while they're talking.
Yeah.
Wait, guys, what?
But they're not paying attention. There's like playing dice or some shit like that. And the bard's just like, like just being a jackass. And it's like, look at these men, stone cold killers.
Yeah. Not a single ounce of fear in them.
They don't fear death.
They simply don't have any idea what's happening.
Fucking the bard playing master exploders.
The rogue is Kyle Gass.
No, the bard's Kyle Gass. Because Kyle Gass is a far better guitar player than Jack Black.
Jack Black is the rogue. He's very flexible and agile. For a fat guy.
Yeah, for a fat guy. Wow.
Dude, he has flexibility. I like to imagine that those two players are the ones that are like on their phone, not paying attention.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys, this is what you're gonna do.
But then when combat comes in, for some reason it's like sink.
Yeah.
like why are it pisses me off how good you guys are at this game. we all have players like that.
We've all been that player at one point.
We're just like, oh, combat, okay, cool.
Quiet through the whole role playing session.
But then they just come in and just kill the enemy. Like, all right, guys, if you need me, you know my number.
I'll be in my phone, so don't worry about it. I'll get your call.
Yeah. So, all right. So then that'd actually be a really cool adventure idea where it's like, there's no possible way we win this fight. We have to send a group in to infiltrate. And sort of be like, what are we, some kind of suicide squad?
They tape a TNT stick to the back of their heads with a very long term.
What the fuck is TNT? No, actually, that would be really no. You joke, but be like, we're gonna put a glyph of warning on the back.
Oh my god,
and
yes.
And if we see you leave the area, I'm just gonna have the wizard just. I just have one guy like I didn't sign up for this, man. He just runs away. His head just explodes.
His main weapon was a boomerang.
Why? This is Slipknot. He can fucking climb anything because he's a really good climber. That move was stupid.
That's why it's getting a remake.
I don't suggest you get killed by her. Her sword can trap the soul of her victims. I'm gonna throw up.
Oh
god.
Right, so
God, what a fucking awful movie.
So,
right.
Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Okay, so we already kind of figured out one way we can solve large scale combat. But what if you want to have like the I guess Helm's Deep. I was trying to think of like the other big fight in Return of the King, but no, Helm's Deep actually seems like a really. Anyways, so what if you want to have like the big like cinematic like climactic like fighting on the battlements and launching catapults and crap like that? Okay, so in order to explain fortified positions and stuff like that, I need to explain boat mechanics first.
Okay.
So I almost said Ghost of Tsushima. In Ghost of Saltmarsh, there is obviously boats because it's a pirate adventure.
No. By the way, just so you know, when we play that, I may play a bard because now I know how to play the ukulele, and I may learn how to sing some sea shanties.
Don't
and I'm gonna get a cheesy like pirate hat, and I
don't be that.
I am gonna be that guy. There once was a boat come to sea.
Are you gonna play Jason Mraz? I'm yours one more time.
Alright, guys. Anyway, so here's Wonderwall.
Today is gonna.
That's the actual enemy. Okay, fine. You can pass. Anyways,
Ray of Enfeeblement is Wonderwall because it just.
Yeah.
All right.
God damn it.
Okay, so Engo, so you all right? Okay, Jose's dying live on stream.
Don't stay tuned. Don't miss it.
All right, so stay tuned for when we live stream Jose's funeral. He stated in his will that he wants his D&D members to be his pallbearers so they can let him down one last time.
Yes. And one of you guys can't make it.
Can we reschedule? No, we can't reschedule the funeral. Saturday's not good for me.
Andrew, we're on the clock here.
I know. I'm sorry.
I mean, this is what
maybe
makes
coffee was a bad idea. Maybe we should have had just beer.
This is what makes our podcast interesting. But
okay,
anyways,
so in Ghost of Saltmarsh, there are ship stats.
Yes,
and those stats, for the most part, they're kind of like a monster stats. They have like strength, dex, con, the whole works, and like damage immunities, condition immunities, stuff like that. But what's interesting is that it has it has a capacity for crew members. So, for instance, the galley, it has a capacity for 80 crew members. So, in order to get the full breadth of its action, you need 80 people.
Oof.
And its actions are dictated, or how many actions it can do is dictated by its crew members. So if you only have, and it can do 3 actions. It can do 2 movements, or 2 attacks and a movement, or 1 movement and 2 attacks, what have you. But but its actions are dictated by the amount of crew. So you have 80 people. If you only have a third of that, it can only do 1 action. If you have 2/3 of that, you can do 2 action. If you have the full capacity, if you have the full 80, then it can do all 3 actions on its turn.
Ah.
Yeah. So, and each ship is different. So I'm just using the galley just as an example here. And because it is a ship, it does have a damage threshold, which means you have to do over a certain amount of damage to actually hurt it. And I think the damage threshold is like something like 10. So you have to do 10 damage, and then anything after 10 damage actually hurts the ship. So it can't just be like the rogue comes and stabs it for 4 damage. Well, it's not going to do anything. It's a ship,
Right?
So it has to be like a big like a big attack or a very strong attack from a very.
But the real question is, does the rogue get sneak attack?
No, the rogue does not get sneak attack.
He does have dark vision.
The ship failed its passive perception. Where did you stab it? Well, I mean, no, the rogue does not get.
We're not.
I was thinking for like a hot second, how would a rogue get sneak attack on a ship? And the short answer is they don't. So, anyways, so then you have your ship and you have your crew, and if let's say you're sailing on the ship and this is your ship as adventurers, then you would be part of that crew. So you would be like the 4 or 5 you'd be part of the crew, and then the 76 people left would be like commoners or guards or whatever. Probably be more like guards, less commoners. Anyways, so in terms of combat, when it comes to ships, what happens is, okay, let's say you're sailing the ocean blue and you're going to go find some treasure or something like that. Oh no, pirates. So the pirates are coming in. They've raised the Jolly Roger. They're obviously they're gonna fight you. So you roll initiative. And then what happens is that everybody in the party rolls their own initiatives, but then the ships roll their own separate initiative. And this is all part of the same initiative roll. So let's just say the fighter goes first, the wizard goes second, and then the enemy ship goes, and then your ship goes. Okay. So the fighter goes first. He says, "Hey, I know the ship has cannons. Let's just fast forward in time a little bit and say it has cannons. I know the ship has cannons. I'm going to fire off one of the cannons at the other ship." Okay, that's cool. You can do that. So he uses his action to load the cannon. And I think it's a bonus action to load the cannon, then a full action to fire off the cannon. Don't quote me on that. So then he does that, fires off a cannon, hits the ship, does like 38 damage. And so boom, blows a big hole into the enemy ship. Then the wizard goes and says, "Hey, I'm going to cast Fireball and see if I can just hit some of the crew members off the other side of the ship." Okay, well, you can do that. Just okay. Then I got to roll dexterity for, I don't know, 1d6 plus however many guards are or bandits are on the ship. And then that goes. And then so the enemy ship goes, and then they're going to move. They can use, because they have a full crew, they can move in line and then fire off two of their weapons. And then your ship goes, and because your ship has a full crew member, they can also move. So you can move out of the way of whatever weaponry they have, and then fire off your weapons at them as well. So what I'm trying to get here is, the ship is a setting, and it has its own map and everything, but it's also active. It is an active part of the battle.
Right.
And because of that, because you are also part of the crew and you are on that ship, you can do things on that ship. Like if say the navigator gets shot, like, oh no, like a cannonball comes, boom, blows his head right off. We have nobody to. I mean, if you want to dictate like that, you can just have it be like, oh no, someone else came and got the wheel. Or you can dictate, be like, we have no one to steer the ship, so it's just kind of aimlessly going around. Well, and then one of the crew member, or one of the adventurers jumps in and gets on the wheel and starts, steering the ship. So it to me, it adds a much bigger layer of combat, because now you have a active like vessel doing something in the combat besides just being half cover or full cover, whatever. So what we could do is that we could just open up the control panel, because if there's one thing we learned from Dungeons and Dragons in general, is that a lot of these rules, all you have to do is just kind of erase a little bit, and write in your own thing, and boom, you got rules for whatever you want.
Mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just open up the hood, rip out the mechanics from this, pop it into something else, and you got whatever you need. So what we could do is like, okay, what would a fortified castle have? Obviously ballistas.
Yeah.
Catapults, maybe not. Maybe the other enemy would be using catapults and stuff like that. If they're a good army, they'd be using trebuchets instead of catapults. But they're goblins, so we'll give them some lenience. But then we would have stuff like murder holes where they could shoot arrows and stuff like that. So then you kind of start to think all this through, and you build your castle the way you want to. You're gonna have to unfortunately homebrew rules in terms of like justifying the cost of like ballistas and stuff like that. Maybe that's just all rolled in with the cost of it, or maybe you can do something extra.
It could be that could be like a post encounter quote unquote thing, like, oh, you took this much damage, you're gonna need this much gold to rebuild your shit,
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you're just gonna have to read the table.
Yeah.
And like, don't, obviously I wouldn't impose any unfair rulings on that, or unless your party wants that to be like, hey, let's have the next arc of the adventure just being like repairing the ship or repairing the fort. And like, okay, cool.
Which could be fun, escort the supplies from town to your fort, make sure that there's no ambushes or,
or we got to find some way to scrabble up 100,000 gold. Okay. Crap.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to start calling in some jobs and, see what I can do.
Hey, Koopy Doopy, thank you for following.
Hey, thanks. So then what we could do is that we could take that fort and then we can just pop it right in the middle of the battlefield. And then, okay, so then you have that army.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say the fort is the ship. The fort's going to get its own initiative. It's probably going to be like a solid 20, or like a flat 20 on initiative count. I wouldn't say it has a dex score. You never know. So then, all right. So then you have this army. Well, it's not going to be just rabble and infantry. They're going to have their own things. They're going to have siege engines, and they're going to have, especially with D&D, they're probably going to have bigger units. Like they will probably have like hill giants or like ogres, or God help you if they have something like the really big what's the name? The really big demons that have like the siege what's it called? Gizbros?
Damn.
You know what I'm talking about. But they do like double damage on buildings and stuff like that. So then what you can do is that you can have, so let's say your hobgoblin army. That's just going to be, we can just use what I like to call swarm tactics, where this whole thing just has one pool of HP and they all just go at the same time. And so you could probably dictate like, oh, it's gonna be like a hail of arrows and stuff like that, so you got to roll a dex save to miss the arrows and stuff, or you can have them like beating down the door and stuff. But then you can have initiative count for the siege engines, for the larger enemies, and then probably have an initiative count for the commander, because he's going to be the one that's commanding the army.
Right.
And inversely, you can do the same thing in the fort. So you can have the fort be in its own initiative count, and they're all going to go when they go. So okay, it's our turn. Let's send another volley of arrows back and fire off the ballistas. But then this would be a really good moment to have your characters control the army. So it'd be like, let's say your fighter, just for the sake of the argument, let's say they're fairly high level characters. Let's say like around 15th level, because this would probably be the time where they could take on armies of enemies. So your 15th level fighter, who is at that a 5 level fighter, is a legend amongst men. So a 15th level fighter is like a god amongst us.
Demigod, yeah.
Yeah. So he would be the one at the forefront like probably on the wall, like it's saying, "Hey, I need you to focus fire on the hill giant that's making its way here," and then the paladin is like rallying up the cavalry inside the fort. So it's like, "All right, man, one last push," and then the castle gates slam down. They all charge. Ah, it's all slow motion and beautiful and shit, and like just explosions going off and doves are flying. but then you can also have like your wizard like launching like spells and stuff, but he would probably have followers as well, because you have to think. It says in the DMG that after a certain level, people just start following your adventurers because they are just that influential. So then you could probably come up with, okay, your wizard's going to have like a clutch of mages, or something. I wouldn't say archmages, like probably like a clutch of mages as like its followers and stuff.
Oh my god!
And
on top of the like the main tower, just fucking flinging spells towards the.
Oh yeah,
and glorious.
And that's where you just, okay, I'm gonna remove all the crap. Like, no, actually, fog wall would be really good. but stuff like tree stride and long jump and stuff, and just have AOE spells like ice storm and fireball and your wizard at that point. I don't know. Would a wizard have a 9th level spell? It would probably they'd still probably be able to launch off some pretty mean stuff where they're from.
Oh yeah, especially what do you think of doing some sort of mechanic that allows the wizard to cast more often or doesn't run out of spells so easily? Because it is a war, and even at high levels, most wizards will be like, fireball, fireball. Okay, I need to take a rest. You know what I mean? But maybe something along the lines of like the mages are following him, or like, I don't know, hooking him up with cocaine or something, so he has more energy. Like
what I would probably do if I had to homebrew something like that, I would probably have cocaine. I would probably just have it be like, okay, we've prepped for war. Like, you need the whole day or maybe like a whole week to prep for war. So then what's going to happen is that while you're at war, while the siege is happening, just change the rest intervals from 8 hours to a full rest to like that that speedy rest recovery where it's like, okay, I just need 30 minutes to
phase something, whatever. I forgot what it was called. Yeah.
But like the fast resting one, where it's like, okay, I just need to take a quick smoke break. All right, we're good.
Yeah. but meanwhile, the other mages can cast like lower level spells, but it still do some damage. That way, I feel like the wizard player doesn't feel left out, even though the main damage dealer is taking a rest. By the way, Koopy Doopy says fireballs everywhere.
Oh yeah, no, fireballs be both sides. I mean, honestly, this would be the most time to have a wizard be devastating, just absolutely devastating. But I mean, you could probably, depending on the context, be like, oh, the god of war came out, and like you shall not tire or something like that. But
right.
But I mean, you could probably work something in there, or just give them like an item where it's like, hey, oh wait, no, isn't there an item that gives them like the benefits of a full rest? I want to say
there probably is.
There is.
Also, do scrolls count towards a spell slot?
No.
There you go.
As far as I know, they don't.
That might be the solution. Hey, you're weak. You prepare a shit ton of scrolls.
Or hey, we have a week to. Yeah, exactly. Just prep a bunch of scrolls. I just need as many scrolls as you can.
Yeah.
And just you know what? Actually, that's actually a really good point. I don't think they do use a spell slot. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Because that might be what you would have to do. Or what you can do is that you can like prep a bunch of spell scrolls and be like, okay, I need the smartest among you. Like, who among you can read? I'm going to teach you how to use spell scrolls real quick. And then show like the training montage where someone's trying to like read fireball and they explode. Okay, that guy's out, obviously.
Yeah, there doesn't use the spell slot, and there's no limit to how many scrolls you can use.
There you go. So then you just have the wizard you can probably save his spell slots for the really devastating stuff.
Yeah.
But then you have like the caddy with like the bag full of spell scrolls, and he's just like and the guy's like it's just belt feeding the ammo. That's exactly what that is. That's belt feeding ammo to the wizard. So,
yeah, exactly.
And this would be a really good time to have like the subclass, like the war wizard, the war mage wizard,
warcaster.
like warcaster, like really shine, because this is what they're meant to do. And then you can have like this, like the cavalier paladin class, like this is like their moment, and then the battle master fighter would just dominate. Like that guy is the 5-star general right off the bat.
so you know, well, I mean, you know, at that point they have a lot of gold, but like it takes 20 days and 500 gold pieces to make a second level or third level spell scroll.
What I would probably say,
well, if you have a small army of scribes, you can probably, you know what I mean. Again, this is also like 15th level, like thought process we're doing here. Usually at that point, I mean, you guys have ended up adventures with like 500,000 gold each, easy.
Yeah, and you're thinking, yeah, like at that point, the gold amount is a blank check for a 15th level if we're going off of published adventures.
Yeah,
but you also have to think there's this little thing called the war effort.
Yeah.
So what you could do is that you could send your bard or your warlock or whoever has the highest charisma to go out and like, hey, I need your assistance. I need, you know, there's an army that's going to march upon us, and we need as much gold and supply as possible because we're going to get ready for this. So then maybe that could be an arc in of itself,
right,
where you're just trying to rally more people to your cause. And then maybe after the siege, like you have to work off your debt, you know, because you're probably going to have to be loaning. I mean, think about it. Like, no nation actually like bankrolls their own war effort.
Yeah, that's true. Know? And hopefully you win, so you can, like, you know, take your spoils of war. Also, Stacy, thank you for liking the stream.
Yeah, like that's when you have like the crew roll out war bonds, you know.
Yeah.
USA. I mean, so that's, and something like that. I'm not saying that's a way to hand wave like the cost of spell scrolls, but that would be a really good way to justify it, maybe even add more to it. But I think this would also be a really good moment where if you're on the other side of the siege, maybe you're the attacking army, this would be a really good time to start conjuring up like earth elementals, because earth elementals have the siege ability where they do double damage.
Yes. Oh my god, this is also a time for the freaking artificer to shine and be like on the walls, fixing and like enhancing the whatever siege weapons they have.
Yeah, exactly. He could just like
a tiny little cannon.
No. Yeah, it just little SpongeBob like cannon just shooting people. But no, I'm saying this would be a really, and then you have the bard that's like rallying people and stuff like that, and I mean,
you have like a squad of rogues, you know, like Rainbow Six, trying to go behind enemy lines and take down the generals. And when they do take down the generals, perhaps it's a penalty for all the smaller units, you know, like they're not as effective, or they get like disadvantage of whatever role they're trying to do.
You're definitely gonna well, what I would probably say is that, okay, so if we're going with that, I would say that what that does is that causes the confusion, like a semblance of the confusion spell on the army, because like they have like their communication's been cut off. What do we do?
Yeah.
Or like we just start panicking,
or like a fear type thing, because they just saw their commander die in a brutal way. You know, they start like scattering away.
And this is where we can introduce stuff in like what's it? There's an optional mechanic in the DMG for morale. This is when we can start introducing morale. Yep. So So something like that, it'd be like, okay, so let's say each army, I don't know how the morale system works. I'm just going off a percentage base. Let's say each army has 100% morale.
Yeah.
All right. The attack is taking a lot longer than they thought it would. So the opposing army is lowering their morale because, okay, hey, we thought we'd be home by Christmas, but we're not. And the fort is showing no real signs of weakness. And then a rogue and a group of other rogues come in and they assassinate the leader. Well, that's a huge blow to their morale, So then maybe with like as the morale lowers, like maybe maybe parts of the army start splintering off and running away, and then maybe once the morale is shattered completely, they just and
it could work the same way too. When you hold the siege and you don't let the supplies get into the fortress. Like on the other side, that too as well. Maybe one of the main missions then becomes, all right, guys, we got to get some supplies in without anybody noticing. Try to
we can't
feed.
We ran out of rats to eat.
Yeah, and that'll be a pretty badass stealth mission to get out, and bring enough supplies in to feed your army. Also, by the way, I was just looking up like the most powerful spells, whatever for AOE spells. Freaking meteor swarm.
Meteor storm would be good. And
Swarm. Yeah.
Oh, is it swarm? Okay, swarm. And then
40d6.
Yeah.
Woo.
And then Gate would just be like, okay, do we really want to roll the dice on getting a ancient red dragon in here? That's good. This could backfire because I don't control it.
Yeah, that's true. I just get it in. Well, maybe you get it in the middle of their lines. Can you imagine giving one scroll to like an arcane trickster or something and get it all the way behind enemy lines and then summon a freaking red dragon?
Oh yeah,
freaking just, Attack on Titan mode.
We got one shot at this. Yeah. That would actually be really. See, there's tons of possibilities of what you could do like during a wartime thing.
Yeah.
But I think the morale, stumbling upon that, I think that'd be a really good way to have sort of soft HP for each opposing army. There's obviously the hard HP where they're still here, they're pumping blood and breathing, and then we have to kill them until they are dead. Or there's the soft HP where it's like, okay, their morale is getting lowered. We can just break them before we can kill them. Yeah. And so then you probably could starve out the fort and stuff like that. Or you can cut out their supply lines, or maybe start launching dead bodies over the wall. I don't know. Just normal siege time stuff. So I think that'd actually be really cool. Just have like an overall, and maybe the morale could be based on like, okay, how good are these adventurers? Are they like actual like paragons of good and morality and stuff like that? Or are they just like a bunch of like chaotic control murder hobos?
More likely murder hobos.
Why would I want to fight for you? So your morale's already kind of at
right.
a disadvantage there.
Yeah.
And then so I mean I would actually really appreciate an adventure like that. Where it maybe the climax of the entire adventure is the siege, but there's like a build up and a little bit of a payoff at the end, and
oh man, and just getting ready and having to think about all the things that you need to survive the siege, or like actually not just survive but win,
and securing supply lines, and where do you even get supplies from, like getting you have to be allied with a nation that's the breadbasket of like the continent and stuff like that, so you're like, okay, now we gotta foster an alliance with these fucks. So that would be really cool. I would really appreciate that. But I think, like I said, pretty much to boil it down, just have ship mechanics be for the fort, swarm mechanics for the smaller enemies, but then have the bigger enemies be part of the initiative order as well. Right. So,
but biggest, you mean like important enemies, like the commanders and the.
Well, biggest and in terms of stature and also like physical bigness, if they had a storm giant, God help you, if they had a storm giant on their side, like, well, you could see him coming from like a mile away, so he would have his own initiative. Or they had something like a dragon stuff, that would have its own initiative order as well. Which I think that'd be really cool if the enemy army had a dragon. You'd be like, oh, the red dragon's flames are so hot it melts the walls of the castle.
And then the main mission is to try to convince a gold dragon to come and help you out.
Oh God, these things are so fickle. These things are fickle to a T.
Yeah. Oh man, that's gets me excited. We should do like a one-off when it's, or like by one-off I mean like a short adventure where it's just a massive
Well, I think
like, siege.
I think what we should do is that we should play. I think we should try Ghost of Saltmarsh first, see how the ship mechanics work out, and then if on paper they sound really great. It could be something that's like it kind of bloats the combat a bit, but we should try Ghost of Saltmarsh, and if that works, then we can just take it out,
Yeah.
boom, and just make it landlocked, boom.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
but they're just wartime missions.
Repurposing mechanics, and then you can have stuff where it's like, okay, we have to go out, all right, we gotta find this weapon. It's like it's gonna be the weapon that's gonna take him out. Yeah, we have to find the Lance of MacGuffin. and then you go out and you can see like the villages being attacked by like enemy orcs and stuff, like, oh god, now we gotta save these fuckers. God, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, and then I keep track of time. The longer you take, the more their army build up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
if you take too long, maybe the Lance of MacGuffin might not be enough to take him down now.
Or like the longer you take, the lower your morale gets, because hey,
Yeah.
these guys said they were going to be back in a 10-day.
Yeah,
and then 30 days later.
And then they're just playing the gristle on the front lines.
Oh no. They're using the corpses as full cover.
Yeah.
That's how bad it's gotten. Oh no.
There's bullets now. Like what?
Ah! War has changed.
Yeah. War never changes. Except for this time, shit. Well, that's exciting. That's oh man, that gets me amped up for an actual like big wartime siege type situation. That'd be pretty bomb. Whew. See, that's why I want to do high level play and going back to Barovia, something like that, like epic. You know, it's no longer
I think,
me. It's like, oh, here is Strahd and the Lich or whatever. Yeah.
See, and that's what I was kind of like. That's what kind of kicked off this whole thing, because a lot of 5e combat, it's very one-on-one.
Yeah.
So it's like, what if you wanted to do something bigger? Like, what if you want to do something that's more like I said, like the Battle of Helm's Deep. Like, look how huge that fight was. So how do you really justify or like make mechanics for that? And that's kind of what.
And this is
whole thing
and this whole thing, like the other stuff you said, it's while it is bigger in scale, it still has a not approachable. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for, Andrew? It has a
streamline.
Well, streamline, but also down eye level. You know, look. It's not too far from. It's not a war game. We're not turning it into a war game.
It's not a pure RTS. Like there's still things you can do individually.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
But there's still like an overarching control over whatever.
And I think I think seeing the effect that what you're doing has on the field, on the battlefield, will make it a lot more. Will make the players attached to it more. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you failed your whatever, so your siege weapon didn't fire. Now the goblins are coming up the wall type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's cool.
This would be something where like you would not have the siege be like, oh no, it's halfway through the session, now the siege is happening. No. This would be like the boss fight where it's like, okay, I need to prep for this particular part. And yeah, on the DM side, there's probably gonna be a lot of mechanics. There's gonna be a lot of levers you need to pull, because you're gonna have to think about morale, you're gonna think about this, that, and the other, and that's when you just make a lot of notes.
Yeah.
But also think, if you pull it off, think of that would be the most memorable moment of your campaign, if any campaign, honestly.
And hopefully, I mean, I think our players would, but you know, for everybody else out there, like, make sure to communicate that to your players. Like, hey guys, we're gonna get into a really big fight here. You know, I'm gonna have to do a lot of stuff, and like make them aware. That way, they don't get all like, oh my god, why doesn't let me get on my phone? Blah, blah, blah. You know, like, make them excited making them excited about you doing the things that you're doing behind the screen.
And this would probably be, I mean, this would probably be something where you kind of want to pull back the curtain just a little bit, just a teeny bit, and it's be like, and show very obvious signs that the enemy morale is starting to like waver and stuff, and maybe have like a number for supplies, like, okay, we have 450 pounds of food, and every day the army eats, or whatever we have, like eats X amount of pounds of food. Okay, so then you have this many,
Right.
and you start doing the math. You're like, guys, we're not going to last the 10 day
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
this much. So then, so that's when this is the time to stop making things ambiguous and be very, upfront.
Yeah.
In terms of like numbers and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
to a certain degree.
Well, yeah, that, but also, if this is like a part, like the end of like such of like the big finale to the campaign you're playing, perhaps have like a session 0 part 2 where you explain like, hey guys, I'm trying this whole big old mechanic about big war games type stuff. You know, just so you know, these are some of the stuff you can do to affect the outcome of the fight, because that way the player doesn't go in blinded.
I would
blind, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. You know, like
I would very much have like a tutorial session for this. Be like, okay, hey, here are the things you can do, and I would probably do the exact same thing with Ghost of Saltmarsh. Like, hey, you are part of this ship now, and then this is where ship tutorial shows up on the screen, and it says like 1 of 12 pages. Like, oh my god. But yeah, no, seriously, that's the perfect way to think about it. You're introducing new mechanics that these have, even seasoned players probably haven't really come across.
Exactly.
So you want to communicate with them. You don't want to be like, oh, you could have used the ballista this whole time, you big
right.
Like, but you never told me that.
Exactly.
Greg was on the ballista. He was hogging it. I thought it was his ballista.
Right. No, but you could have gotten a +2 to the ballista because you're more experienced than he is. Yeah, but like,
exactly. Like this is the moment to be like, okay, hold on, tutorial mode.
Right.
We're gonna explain fortress combat now.
Yeah. Koopy Doopy says a test war. Well, I wouldn't do so much at the question mark. He says, I wouldn't do a test war because that's pretty much the whole session. But more of like, even make like a Word document, PDF type things, like actions you can do during your turn.
Well, I think
expanded wartime action or siege actions.
What I think what he's getting at, he might be asking what'd be a good way to have them familiarize themselves before like the big hour, and that could be something like, oh hey, here's a small troop of hobgoblins. Oh no, they're gonna lay siege to our thing. Oh, and it turns out like once you've defended them off or something like that, oh, this was just the scouting party. There's a much bigger party coming.
Right.
So then that could be like the test.
A bit of a build up, yeah.
Yeah. So something to sort of, I mean, or it could be because like the fort is, I'm assuming, off in the wilderness somewhere. You can have like a random encounter where like troop of giants came. Like we don't like this building. Get rid of it. But I mean, there is things you can do to get them warmed up to the mechanics before you're like, okay, hey guys, big test. We didn't study for this. Time to cram.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so that's, siege, large scale combat. I think there's a lot of possibility, and it comes down to really, like you said, looking under the hood and switching things from. I think the parallel that you had with the ship mechanics, bringing that into a fortress mechanic, it's amazing. I feel like, other than movement, everything else applies.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're, Howl's
It
Moving
could
Castle.
be a flying fortress. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe the artificer's like, hey guys, you guys want to see something cool? And it hits a big red button.
Big legs come out.
What the fuck did you do?
The guards on the wall just like, oh, I feel sick. By the way, Koopy Doopy says that DM, it says pub quest starts a war.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. All right, Andrew. I know we're tight on schedule, but let's talk about our favorite part of the episode. Session highlights.
Oh, I thought about our favorite part of this episode. Well, I really like the part where
Andrew, shut up.
Where we were talking about the giant orgy. I think we could have expanded more on that.
No, we're not going to expand more.
All right, fine. That's another episode.
That's another episode. Stay tuned.
That would be episode 69.
Oh, nice. You hear thunderous sound coming from inside the mountain.
The thunderous clapping of cheeks. What is that? Is that an earthquake? No, my child. It's something far worse. You only wish it was an earthquake.
Andrew, spray bottles.
And it's just like the snow giant, like, hey man, it's all free love, dude. Come on in.
It smells like carnitas.
It smells like balls in here.
All right. Andrew, stop.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Goopy Doop is like, oh god.
Coffee was a bad idea. We should have stuck to alcohol.
Oh shit. I am not drinking alcohol at 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
Goopy Doop is like, not the balls.
2d6 bludgeoning damage.
And then some psychological damage after that.
You have to roll the short-term madness table.
See if you can handle what you just saw.
All right, we're done.
All right. So,
God.
session highlights. This is a part of the episode where we talk about session
Jesus
highlights.
Christ.
Of previous sessions. I'm moving away from that, Andrew.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
For you guys that don't know, we are playing right now Rime of the First Maiden. We have a live stream every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday, unless Hurricane is coming by. So yeah.
Even then, we're just like, fuck the hurricane.
Screw this hurricane. Anyway, so if you want to join us, make sure to tune in at around 6:30 to 7 on Wednesdays. We are currently starting we already started Rime of the First Maiden, and we just had our first encounter, honestly. Last session.
First combat. It only took 3 sessions, but the first combat encounter.
It's been great. Andrew, what's your session highlight?
My session highlight so the last time we went over session
Andrew's DMing, by the way. Goopy
yeah,
Goopy.
hey, hi.
Yeah.
Okay, so when was the last session we talked about session highlight? I think it was the very first session, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because of scheduling things, we haven't been able to record an episode in a while.
Yeah.
But my personal session highlight for the last session was Beery getting attacked. I know it seems like I'm picking on Heather, but I'm really not. The way this worked out was beautiful.
Yeah.
Because they're traveling through Icewind Dale right now. They're traveling between towns, which I already explained it's dangerous just to travel between towns. And so they get hit by a blizzard, and there's a lot of mechanical stuff that goes on with the blizzard. I'm not going to pull back the curtain on that, but one of the big things is that like you have to find some way to weather it out.
Right.
So the ranger and the paladin go off to find a cave or something like that to weather the storm, and it's an offhand remark, and I love it because it spawns so much from it. But it's offhand remark, and when they find the cave, the ranger, Swift, who's being played by Robert, he says, or they say, Swift says, they say, you stay here. I'm going to go back for the rest of the party. And
yeah, there are circumstances why we were split. It wasn't because we decided to split.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, fuck the DM, we're going to go our ways. No, it's just okay, because the paladin has no nature skills, pretty much. So the paladin's like, okay, I have to stay here. I'm physically the strongest person, the strongest class amongst them.
Well, even before that, the party was split, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? It's not like we decided to. It was just.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. So yeah, the party split because of the blizzard, and the druid, the rogue, and the sorcerer. They all decided we're gonna hang tight here, and we're gonna wait. We're gonna hear word on them because. The one thing you guys picked up was that if it's a blizzard, don't move. Stay. Yeah. But if you don't know your way around, you don't move. So, okay, everyone just plant your feet and we'll just see what happens. So Swift finds a cave, and then they decide to go back for the party. And when they leave, something attacks Beery. And at first, I had been prepping for this, and I was expecting it to be like an actual fight at first. I know I played it to be like really scary, something in the dark, and stuff. But I was expecting it to be an actual fight. What I was not expecting was there was gnolls in the cave. By the way, I was not expecting the gnoll to roll a natural 20
On
in
the-
one shot.
On the first hit.
On the very first, so I described it as this gnoll leaps out with the spear because it gets a surprise attack because I'm a dick, and so it gets a surprise attack and it rolls a natural 20 and just boom takes out the paladin. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that happened. like I expected a bit more of a fight, but nope. All right, so now this is the rescue mission.
Yeah.
I was expecting like Swift was going to get the rest of the people, and then everyone shows up, and you see Beery fending herself off from the gnolls, and you like jump in to her aid. I was not expecting it to be. No, she's kidnapped now.
Yeah.
So, which it worked out beautifully. Like I could not have asked for a better story beat if I tried, because you guys came up to the cave. And like I described, like, oh, you were expecting like a fire or stuff like that, and all you see is like a pool of blood. And you're like, oh no. But then after that, like the whole session was just you guys rescuing Beery, and the combat worked out beautifully. Like Mittens on. Our rogue's name is Mittens on Hands. he's a tabaxi. Mittens on Hands had the highest kill count. He still has the highest kill count. He killed two out of the two of the gnolls.
Yeah.
But like Swift was holding their own and stuff. But then you and Gar helped with the fairy fire.
Yeah.
And oppose advantage, which I found out fairy fire and a rogue is a dangerous
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start taking notes on that.
No more fairy fire.
Yeah, I have anti-fairy fire spray.
It's just baby oil, actually. The fairy fire.
Yeah. Grease me up. Anyways, so then we have a disco troll and a disco gnoll, and they're fighting, and then Octavio decides to, well, you use Witch Bolt at first, which is not really that great, but then you're like, yeah, screw it, I'm going to use Chaos Bolt, and you rolled a crit, and then you rolled the double 8s on Chaos Bolt, which allows you to not only attack one, but it leaps to another one. So you rolled a crit on this one, immediately kill off the first
30
gnoll.
damage at level 1.
It was a fully healthy gnoll, and it was attacking Swift, and like Swift was defending themselves, and all of a sudden they just see this gnoll just turn into a pyre. And then crumbles, and then it turns into a lightning bolt and hits the other gnoll, and it's just, oh my god! Like there's just like a moment of silence for it, because up to this point everyone's like, oh, we're gonna eat Octavio first, because there's been like this weird thing about cannibalism. Like, guys, we haven't even left the town. You guys have plenty of food. We do not need to eat people yet.
Creepy says there was a healthy gnoll.
and so there's been like this weird like ongoing joke. Oh, we're gonna eat Octavio first, and then Beery gets one shot. Like, okay, I guess we're gonna eat Beery. I'm like, what is with you guys eating your party members? You have rations.
It's Beery and Swift, bro. I'm like, what's happening?
And even Heather was like, if you find my body, eat it. I'm like, why? What is with you guys and eating each other? I don't understand.
He doesn't even go that bad.
You guys just left town. You are like the safest you are ever going to be in terms of food.
Goopy Doopy says waste not, want not.
That's not how it works. Even still, it's Icewind Dale. It's negative 40 degrees. Just throw it out in the snow. It'll be fine.
He says consume.
I mean, well, it's here, folks. What do you want? Do you guys want hardtack and cheese, or do you want berry steak? I'm just saying. These onions ain't going to caramelize themselves. Anyways, so then there's been this running gag of like, oh, we're going to eat Octavio first.
Because Octavio is a noble, and he's never been adventuring ever. He was sent to Icewind Dale to learn a lesson. Yeah, so this is the first time he even steps out of town since he got there.
All of the other characters are native to 10 towns in Icewind Dale. So they're not, I wouldn't say used to what's going on, but they're more weathered and adapted than Octavio is. Octavio is fresh off the bus from Waterdeep. and so like Octavio is kind of like, I don't know. Would you describe him as starry-eyed? I definitely naive.
Naive, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. And it's like it's great because you've been role playing it like the adventure kicks off with a murder mystery, and you're like, okay, well, who are we gonna hire to and then when you guys get to the cave, you're like, all right, time for us to get some sleep. You're like, where are we gonna sleep at? And Mitten's like, right here. There's plenty of floor right here. And your character's just horrified at the conditions. Rightfully so. I mean, think about it. A normal person would be horrified of the conditions that an adventurer lives in.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't. You like you were talking about how like the Knoll blood stained your fine silks. I'm like, well, we're probably all going to be stained after this, and so it really just kind of brings to light like how shitty the life of an adventurer is.
Because we never think about that stuff, man. So like every time I get an opportunity of something like normal that, you know, oh, let's take a rest in this cave, you know, usually we're like, okay, cool, let's take a rest and then move on.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My guy is just like, what? Where's the bed?
I mean, besides the fact that he has magical powers, he is kind of like an everyday person.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So it's really just pluck him out from our reality and then just throw him in the ice window. You're like, oh no.
Yeah,
find a bunch of gear he doesn't need.
So he manages to freaking crit on a spell, and like all this stuff happens. And I just imagine it just goes really quiet, record scratch, and the camera just pans towards Octavio, and he's just like, no, he's just like, did I do that? Well, and then there's just a moment of silence, and Swift's just like, nice. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's been my session highlights through the whole so far is the fact that it's been just role playing Octavio through the whole thing, because
the first 3 sessions were the third session was a bit of exploring, but up until that point it's all just been pure role playing.
Yeah, but like the fact that I made it very clear, I'm like, this guy is a noble from Waterdeep. He's never even had to warn for anything. He was Emperor's New Groove type of like, you know, nobility. And his grandparents were just like, screw you, we're going to send you to Icewind Dale to learn a hard lesson. So the whole time there, he's been attaching to this group of adventurers because he knows deep inside that that's the only way he's going to survive. He just didn't know it was going to lead to all of this. And when I mean that he doesn't know his magic, he never had to use it. So he doesn't know his magic. So when he does Chaos Bolt and does the freaking boom, he doesn't know that he was able to do that. So going from like, hey, who are we gonna hire to solve this this crime, to freaking one-shotting a Knoll and surprising Swift, that's been a whole thing for him already. Like, I'm already satisfied. I'm like, holy shit, like, and like every time I get a chance, I just like make sure that people know that the group knows that I do not want to be here.
Oh yeah, your character bitches. like honestly, he could bitch a stalled truck up a hill. All he does is whine. The whole reason why, I mean, I'm not saying
cultural whiplash,
but like the whole reason why the group even stops and looks for a cave is because, okay, Octavio is tired and I'm tired of hearing him complain.
Yeah, well, okay, so the whole, yes, okay, that was a thing too. Like, you don't think about that, and it didn't have to say that I was tired and borderline exhausted.
But that was a way for me to justify, okay, you guys have traveled for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You need to rest.
Yeah,
like,
and while everybody's used to, like, when we left town, Andrew asked if people put their snowshoes on, and everybody was just kind of like, yeah, we have my shoes on. And I'm like, what shoes?
And you're like up to your knees in snow. And Swift's like, God damn it.
Picks me up and puts the shoes on and puts me back down.
Swift is the one leading the party because he's the ranger. And he obviously he picked Tundra as his favorite terrain. So it's like Robert describes Swift as they are uncomfortable in cities.
Yeah.
so it's like by the end of the second session, they're like itching to leave. Like, go now.
And Octavio's the total opposite. And like it's the little things, like when we were leaving town and there was like a door, but I don't like doors, so somebody had to like open the door for me.
Oh yeah. And then you got your pack stuck on the door. And everyone just kept walking. Everyone just kept leaving. They're like, no.
It's because he doesn't know how to pack for an adventure, so it was all like lopsided and like unbalanced, and like Beery had to like adjust it so I could walk up to like little things like that. Have been like my favorite part of every single session so far, including the part when like we had the encounter with the giant. You know, the most Octavia has seen is probably an owlbear, and that was because his uncle owns one. You know what I mean?
And it's like a stuffed owlbear.
Yeah, and like he sees a giant and a mammoth, you were like, oh, what are you guys gonna do? And everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna hide, I'm gonna do this, which is the first thing as a player that you want to say.
I forgot to mention, by the way, just to emphasize the size of the giant, the lance it's carrying was a repurposed ship mast.
Dang. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna hide, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, Octavia wouldn't do that. Octavia will just freeze in place at sea and this massive giant. You know what I mean? And like if it wasn't because like Beery or Swift, one of them pulled me down to the snow, he probably would have seen me because I wasn't like, I'm gonna hide.
Yeah, it'd just be like, your fight or flight sense just completely lock up then and there.
Yeah, Koopy Doopy says like a deer in headlights. Yeah, exactly. And like from that point on, like Octavia realized that this is real and he's in deep shit. And I describe him as he was like before that he was just complaining and like saying stupid shit. Like one of the investigation bits that we had was nobody else found it, but Octavia found a little carving of a snowflake. You know, and Andrew was like, "Do you tell that to next to the group?" And I'm like, "No, I just think it's neat," and walk away.
Yeah, just okay, that's cool.
Yeah, because like he doesn't care about that stuff.
And it's funny because when he said the rest group's like, okay,
like it's he doesn't care. He doesn't know this kind of stuff. So he's been like talkative and annoying the whole time, pretty much. And then at that point, he just went quiet.
You up until that point, you've very much been like the teenager of the group. That's just like, do we have to do it? Yeah. like my feet hurt. We're literally 20 minutes out of town. My feet hurt.
Is there Wi-Fi where we're going? But like, you know, like it's all those little bits, man. It's just built. I love it. I love it so much. And like,
honestly, sorry, go.
No, I was gonna say like one of my favorites was like right at the very beginning when like everybody's on the table and the quest giver is at the head of the table, telling us about this thing, and like Octavia's at the other end of the table, and he's just like, oh, so who are we gonna hire to solve the problem? And everybody just freezes and turn their head slowly towards me, like, like what?
And then Barry and Swift's like, God damn it, God damn it. But I think what I really appreciate, and we're probably gonna wrap up the discussion after this because we're pressed for time. But I told everybody this is gonna be a much slower paced campaign, and so because of that, everyone has really shown a lot more characterization than what I've seen before previously. So we're seeing like a lot of things about certain characters that like Mittens, for whatever reason he doesn't like fish. Yeah. But he has underground connections and stuff like that. So we've been using that. I think that's the first time we've ever used like the criminal connections.
Mm-hmm. That was cool thing.
Too. And like Beery, she likes to fucking hit on everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the whole thing was like she gets the letter and like Octavio likes the gossip, so it's just like ooh, drinking tea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then we have like the letter and stuff, and Gar's been kind of quiet, but that's fine.
He worries me.
I think that one scares me. But I mean, Swift was saying how like they're like not comfortable in cities and stuff, and how they're taking this kind of personal because it's 10 towns and whatnot, and just a lot more characterization. And I'm really digging it. I thought it was going to be. I didn't want to say I didn't think it was going to be boring, but I thought it was going to be kind of a bit of trouble at first. Like I thought we were going to have like a lot of
because
like awkwardness,
right? Because we're used to our group is very used to like action.
Yeah.
You know?
So but I think the change of pace has been really I
welcome.
I don't want to say like welcome, like because like oh no, what we've been doing is crap. But I think the change of pace has really kind of illuminated a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. No, I say welcome 100% because we've been playing a lot of like really big, just action with like 20% role playing and mechanics. Certain mechanics we're just kind of like, don't worry about that. And when you made it very clear in session 0 that this was going to be slow pace, and we're going to keep track of certain things, blah blah blah. That made everybody very excited.
Yeah,
and that was a good feel.
And I like the fact that like there was like this feeling of exhaustion just from traveling.
Yeah,
like you guys didn't even fight anything yet.
Yeah,
and then you guys had to roll for exhaustion to get back to the cave because it was like another hour away. And then so some of you guys were exhausted while fighting the gnolls. Yeah. So I mean, it just I just think so far it's been really cool, a very cool granular experience. And yes. I've never been so jazzed up after every session like this, you know.
Usually it takes a while for each adventure that we've played, and it's usually towards like the middle end of it that things start getting like this like exciting. And not saying that the rest of it is not exciting either, but like as a DM you get the gratification of like all the payback from the role playing, the lore dump and all this stuff. But for this one from get-go, it's just been like yes, we don't know what's happening, but like everything we've been building together has played out so well, and it's great. It's fantastic.
And everybody's been playing into their characters, and we've been getting little paybacks, or little payoffs for their characters and stuff like that. So it's just I love it. That so far I've been riding this high ever since ever since we started this adventure.
Yeah.
And I told Jose I might just keep this pace for my adventures permanently. I like this. I really dig this.
It's great. And if you guys have missed out, make sure to our YouTube channel have an archive of all the episodes. I have to apologize for, I think it was session 2.
Was that the one that dropped out?
Yeah, well, it dropped out, but Twitch did something weird with the encoding, so I couldn't download it correctly. It was corrupted. So only like the first half or the latter half is in there. So I apologize for that. But session 3 and 4 are up now. Make sure to watch it if you want to. Make sure to join us live on Wednesday. We have a lot of fun. You know, we're always like talking to chat and like just we get a little bit of contribution here and there. It's fantastic. But yeah, session highlights, man. It's been great. I love it. I want to clap after every session, but now I'm just like I need to stop clapping. I'm one of those people that clap when the airplane lands.
You clap after the movie.
Yeah. The movie was shit.
I can definitely say I'm very excited for the Q&A after this campaign.
Man, we're way off from that, but yes.
I know, but I'm already like, I can't wait to tell you guys everything I do.
But yes, let's move on real quick to news, and then we're gonna wrap up the episode. We're getting to that point. Really, the main news is that G4, I think it is doing G4 TV is doing D&D live this weekend coming up.
G4 is still up?
Yeah, surprised me.
That's the real news.
Yeah, but they have a thing with D&D now, so they're doing that. What they did back in the day for Avernus, with the whole like the cast and announcing the books and all that stuff is going to be revealed that weekend. For Light of the Witchlight book, the new Strixhaven book, and I know there's another book that's going to be announced that day too as a surprise. But the big thing is that they announced the cast that is going to be presenting D&D live.
Ooh.
Jack Black is on there.
What?
Yeah. Reggie Watts.
Okay.
Kevin Smith.
Okay.
Bro, Kevin Smith? Are you kidding me?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said... Never mind.
No,
I thought you said Kevin Hart for some reason. I was like, wait,
no.
what? I was like, what?
But like Jack Black, Kevin Smith, Tiffany Haddish, Jason Mewes, Lauren Lupkins, which I didn't know that was her name. Anyways, and it's going to be hosted by Kate Welch. And presumably they're going to do a playthrough of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But
Dragon Heist 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. But it's going to be benefiting Extra Life, and it's going to be streamed on Peacock and G4 D&D on Twitch and YouTube channels. The 16th and 17th, so this upcoming weekend. Make sure to stay tuned because they're going to talk about all new things of D&D books, news, and they're going to finally go into detail about what the books and what it's going to entail for each one of those.
Finally.
So that's pretty exciting. I know, we'd be starving for content, really, in D&D.
So little content. I look at the bookshelf of books I have.
Yeah, Koopa Jack Black is going to be on it too. Yes, I think that's all the news I have. And do you have anything interesting?
No,
Oh,
I
don't
think
buy
that's all-
don't buy the Dark Alliance game. That was trash.
Yeah, no, it's garbage.
Yeah, at least like wait for it until deep discount. But yes,
I think that's all the time we got.
yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for joining us, Coopy Doopy. Very glad to have you in the chat. Thank you so much for sticking along. Andrew, we're about to say bye. Okay, well, Andrew's leaving already because he hates all of us. But thank you so much for joining us. We are gonna be back. We do the podcast every other week. We skipped 1 week, but we're back this week. And please make sure to join us on Wednesdays. It's going to be a lot of fun. Andrew's DMing this one. We usually alternate between adventures. We just finished Avernus. We have all the episodes on YouTube. We are live here on Twitch. We're also on Facebook too. Maybe we'll go on YouTube eventually one day, but I don't think my computer can handle that. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, Andrew's back, and he'll say his goodbyes. Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully everything's okay. I was just telling them to join us on Wednesdays, and Koopy Doopy says thank you guys. So yes,
Yeah,
thank you,
absolutely.
Koopy Doopy. But yes, Andrew, anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Join us next week. And the week after that, we will be live. The episode will be up on anywhere you listen to your podcast on. We have the audio version of it too as well. But yes, thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and as always, keep on gaming and have fun.
Can't wait to see y'all again.
Bye.